Hi, I'm Frank Masiosi, and my guests today are three very interesting people from Student Partner Alliance, a Summit-based organization that empowers students from urban areas to achieve excellence. You'll hear more about that in a minute, but first let me make the introductions. Margaret Momber is the organization's executive director. Emmett Daly is the president and 27-year resident of Summit. And Chris Beltran, seated on my immediate left, who is now a board member and a mentor, but some time ago began his association with Student Partner Alliance as a student mentee. More about that later. So, Maggie, let's start with you. Tell us, many of our viewers have heard of Student Partner Alliance, but I think probably many have not. So, what is this organization all about?
The mission of Student Partner Alliance is to support urban, low-income high school students from the areas of Jersey City, Newark, and Elizabeth with scholarships and with mentors so that they can go to the high school of their choice, which will be a college preparatory high school, and we provide them with a mentor who helps and supports them through their 4 years of high school.
Okay, now how many different high schools do you work with?
We work with 7 high schools,
Okay.
3 in Newark, 2 in Jersey City and Bayonne, 1 in Elizabeth, and 1 in Montclair.
Okay.
And they serve students from Irvington, East Orange, Jersey City. At the moment, we have 190 students. We have supplied over 2,100 scholarships in our history. That's about $2.3 million in scholarship financing. And we have 180 mentors and partners who are supporting our students at these various different schools.
Okay. Let me clarify, since it took me a while to catch on to this. You have terminology that you use: mentor, partner, sponsor. So a mentor is just that. You have a volunteer, adult, and a student paired up.
Correct.
A sponsor is somebody who donates, and a partner does both.
Correct.
Did I get it right? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And our sponsors can be individuals, they can be churches, they can be Rotary clubs, they can be foundations and corporations.
Okay.
So we have the whole range for financial supporters,
Okay.
sponsors.
Tell us a little bit about the history. How far back do you go?
We're now in our 28th year, and the organization was founded by a gentleman who, when, as myth has it, was riding into the city on the train. He was a banker. He would see youth hanging out beside the train tracks or on the train tracks. And he thought, gee, these kids should be in high school, not hanging out here. And so he set about trying to figure out why they were there and how to get them in school. And he learned pretty quickly that there's a lot of financing available for scholarships for university, but you have to get to university, and for that you need a college preparatory high school. So he found some high schools, he found some students, and he started with sponsoring 6 students in one particular high school. And he's not a man who blows his own horn, but he must have dropped hints here and there about what he was doing. And soon some people in his friends' circle found out about it, and they started to support students. And the organization grew from 6 students to over 180 students over 28 years. And it grew with more individuals supporting students, and then eventually these other foundations, corporations, and other groups.
Quite a history.
Yeah.
Quite a history. So, Emmett, you've been involved for a while.
I have.
Why did you join? You first joined as a partner and then later as a board member, right?
Yes, I started out quite casually and slowly got sucked into this place in a deeper and deeper way. My wife and I moved to Summit in 1994, and I just was out looking for volunteer opportunities. And the gentleman that Maggie mentioned, Tom Cash, Short Hills resident, longtime American Express executive, was introduced to me. Tom is, as Maggie says, understated but passionate about what he does, and he was passionate about explaining the mission of SPA being an education-based charity where we were trying to help out young, low-income high school kids in New Jersey cities. It was very appealing to me and to my wife, and we signed up on the spot and became partners. 8 or 9 years later, Tom was growing the organization and really wanted to kind of institutionalize the organization and asked me to join the board. So I joined the board, and then about 8 years ago, Tom wanted to step back from his role as president, and he asked me to take on the president's role.
Is he still in the area?
Tom's on our board. Tom
Okay.
still lives in Short Hills,
Okay.
and Tom is actively involved with SPA, just not as the president.
Okay. How many board members do you have?
Got 16 board members.
Okay.
I believe in having a large, diverse board that provides a combination of both financial support to student partner, but also we've got a bunch of very active board members who are almost serve as part-time employees.
Okay.
We've got someone who runs a golf tournament for us, someone who runs our technology. Our board's very active.
Okay.
Yep.
And the board members, I take it, come from Summit, Short Hills?
Yeah, we draw from primarily Summit and Short Hills, but also from Westfield, Chatham, and other suburbs around kind of central New Jersey.
Okay.
Yep.
And Maggie, the kids come from the towns where the schools are that you named, right?
Right, right.
Or-
Greater
or-
Newark area, the Greater Jersey City area, and the Greater Elizabeth area.
Okay, all right. Maggie, tell us about the impact that your organization has had.
Well, the impact would be that over the last 28 years since we were founded, we've provided 2,100 scholarships.
Right.
Over the last 7 years, all of our graduates, and it's about 50 students every year, have graduated from high school and gotten into college, often with several scholarship packages.
Did you say they all have?
Yes. Over the last 7 years, all 100% have graduated.
That's a remarkable
amazing.
accomplishment.
Right. So going back towards the beginning, it was a little bit lower, maybe 96%, but it's improved with the time. And I think if you talk to the schools where our students are, their own graduation rates have also gone up to 100%.
And I don't mean to interrupt Maggie, but if you take an average high school student in Newark, and we're not trying to poach the best and the brightest, we're trying to get the most at-risk, low-income kids into our program. You take that kid in a Newark public high school, and the graduation rate is about 75%. So you compare that to our 100% graduation rate, and all those kids then go on to college. It's an amazingly productive formula.
I'm guessing out of the 75%, not all of them go to college.
Less
Right.
than half.
Less than half.
Yep.
So the real comparison, if you're looking at going to college, is 100% versus less than 50%, which is really a striking comparison.
Yeah.
And you know, you've mentioned both of you have mentioned the scholarship portion. Just to put this in perspective, we're not talking about a tuition level equivalent to the most expensive private schools in the Summit area, are we?
No.
No, I mean you've got Del Barton or Morristown Beard now at $45,000 a year. These are very gritty, tough schools in our inner cities, right? It's St. Benedict's and St. Vincent's and Hudson Catholic over in Jersey City. Their average tuitions are somewhere between $6,000 and $12,000 or $13,000 a year.
Which is, I assume, still a real stretch for most of these families.
The average family in our program has a household income of less than $40,000. The average family in our program is a one-adult family, not a two-adult family. It's a huge struggle to do this, but it also shows you the passion of these people to make sure their kids get educated.
Yeah.
You know, it
yeah.
doesn't. It's not just student partner. It's these families that are dragging these kids through difficult neighborhoods to get them through
Yeah.
to these schools.
Yeah, and when you to put it in perspective, when you think of $40,000, doesn't go very far in the Northeast.
No.
The cost of living isn't that much different in the inner city than it is out here. There's some differences, but still, it's remarkable.
40,000 for a family of four is below the poverty line. in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So
Emmett,
all
why
of
do-
these, sorry if
Yeah,
I can
no,
interrupt a second.
please do.
All of these families require scholarships from us, from the school, and from the Inner City Scholarship Fund. And we believe that they have to have some skin in the game so that they're required to pay something. That could be $100 a month. It's broken down into monthly payments because they can't pay semester, upfront for each semester. So it's very low, and we deliberately choose schools that are in the urban areas focused on urban education.
Okay. Are you unique? Is this organization?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I've never heard of anything else like it.
No.
So we are and we aren't. I mean, for your viewers, there are some other wonderful scholarship programs in New Jersey. Seeds, for example, is New Jersey Seeds takes very well educated, very bright kids and sends them to prep schools, for
Okay.
example.
Just a little different
Our
focus.
program's different, though. I mean, we're going into the communities that need our help the most and supporting the schools that stayed in those communities, didn't leave those communities when the cities were falling apart in the late 60s.
Yeah. Emmett, why'd you choose this particular nonprofit? You said you wanted to get involved in nonprofit work.
Yeah.
Versus there's lots of nonprofit
Yes, there
opportunities
are.
in Summit.
Yeah. I think two reasons, and I recruit a lot of people to join me in the student partner effort, and I think what appeals to them too is one, it's education based. We've all been very fortunate in life, and I think a lot of it comes from getting good educations, and we value a good education. And look at student partner. It's the old biblical proverb: you give a man something to eat, and he'll eat for a day. You teach him to fish, and he'll eat for a lifetime. And education is something that creates self-sufficiency. Education allows people to be upwardly mobile. And yet these kids in the inner city aren't given the same kind of educational resources that my kids got in Summit.
Yep.
It's very different. So we devote 100% of our attention and 100% of our finances to just giving these kids an opportunity for better education.
Okay.
And the second thing I got involved with is that it's a very grassroots organization. It's not like sending a check off to a distant cause. You mentor a kid, and you're with them for 4 years, and you see the ups and downs of just being with someone for 4 years.
Yeah.
You see terrible report cards. You hear about problems at home. You hear about sporting events that didn't go well. It's a wonderful experience. It's terrific.
Yeah, sounds amazing. We're going to turn to the subject of mentoring in a minute, and Chris, you have a very special perspective on that, different from the others. But just one or two more questions before we do that. Let me ask both of you, Emmett and Maggie, over the last 2, 3, 4 years, how have you evolved, and what do you see for the challenges for the future? Either one of you.
You take the evolve, I'll take the challenges.
Well, we're in the middle of looking at applications right now. It's the period when we decide which students we want to interview because they submit a fairly complex application and then we interview them. So I would say the need for our organization is still there. In that sense, we may evolve. Certainly there are a lot of changes in the world at the moment, but the need for additional scholarship financing and the desire of the students and these families to send their kids to a place where they can get a good education is still there. In the details, which school is there, which school they want to go to, those kinds of things may evolve, but the need and the desire is still there. And I think as long as that's there, that impassions me and drives me every day to want to do the best I can to bring in as much money as we can to support as many students as we can.
Okay.
In terms of evolving, as the president, I kind of am very insistent on sticking to our mission. I see a lot of charities grow and take on other challenges, and they call that mission creep. And I think we've stuck passionately and laser focused to our mission of educating these low-income kids. It doesn't mean we've stood still. We've grown our budget. We have almost 200 kids in the program right now. We've grown this thing like weeds, but we've stuck to our mission. We're not going to ever evolve into something we're not, and that we're not good at.
Okay.
Now, from the problems, the things that keep me up at night, I mean, we talk. You listened to the debate last night. This gap in wealth, this wealth gap in society today, is as clear as day at Student Partner. I mean, these families are low-income families. They struggle to make ends meet. These schools are all struggling financially. We lost 2 of our schools this year. St. Benedictine in Elizabeth and Marist in Bayonne are closing down at the end of the semester. The wealth gap is really putting great stress on Student Partner. And my greatest concern is just continuing to try to fill that financial gap that these kids and these schools need.
That is a challenge.
It is a big challenge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's turn to the substance, which is mentoring. Now, all 3 of you have had that experience, correct?
Yes.
Or currently have that experience.
That's right.
Okay. So, and you'll all have different perspectives, I think. I know you will. So, Maggie, let's start with you. Just tell me, what's it been like to be a mentor?
Well, I had some teenage kids of my own, so I have to say I was a little bit scared in the beginning because I don't find teenagers so easy. But I've had 3 mentees, and they've all been fabulous, and I've really enjoyed getting to know them, being there for them. My first mentee grew up in Newark, and she graduated. She graduated high school in 4 years, faster than my own kids, I have to say. And we're still in touch. She had a baby recently. I was at the shower, and that's just a real thrill to
That's nice.
maintain that relationship. And my second one, her family came from Ghana, so I learned a little bit about Ghanaian culture, and she was very different from the first one. She's currently at Temple, and she'll be a junior. And my third one came from Pakistan, and she's now a junior at Hudson Catholic, and she's in a unique program there where they take some classes at St. Peter's University. So she'll graduate with a high school degree and with some college credits at the same time. So each experience has been different, and they've all been incredibly rewarding and interesting and fun.
Emmett, have you had as much fun?
So I've mentored 8 kids, and my wife has mentored 7 women.
So match them up by gender, correct?
We do.
Right.
We do. Yep. So we've been very involved. Mentors can take all sorts of different roles in these relationships, right? Some of our mentors are somewhat removed, and they just text their mentees and go to some of the events we sponsor. My wife and I have always been incredibly involved in many of our mentees' lives. This guy sitting next to me was one of my first mentors 18 years ago.
Wow,
Yeah,
18 years ago.
It's just, and he's one of our great success stories. You look at Chris, and he was my height back 16 or 17 years ago, and since then he's gone on to college. He's getting a master's degree. He's married. He's a father. He's got a great career, and now he's on our board.
Okay. Well, which brings us to Chris. So roll this timeline back and tell us, before you talk about being a mentor, I want to hear the story about how you got involved and from your perspective,
So,
and how your first mentor was.
Yeah.
so how I did get involved with Student Partner Alliance. My mom was determined to send me to private school. Where I came from, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
in the West Ward of Newark, and I wanted to go to West Side High School, which is the public school in the West Ward,
Okay.
for my area.
I don't know Newark that well. Can you describe West Ward? I mean,
Yes. So it's actually right by Seton Hall University.
Okay.
So it's on the borderline of Newark and South Orange, that part of Newark.
Okay.
And it's also bordering Irvington.
Okay.
And I was really adamant on going to either West Side High School with a lot of my friends that lived near me on my on the street that I grew up. But my mom was determined and had different plans for me. She put in applications for me. I didn't even apply myself. She put in
That's
the
a good mom.
application for me, and I went. I had an interview at Immaculate Conception, and then I also had an interview at St. Benedict's Prep. I wasn't too happy about St. Benedict's Prep just because it was an all-boys high school. That was a foreign experience to me.
Sure.
So I did get into St. Benedict's Prep, and my mom told me that I got in on a scholarship. So after I think the overnight, so at St. Benedict's Prep, all of the freshmen have to start at the school before the school year starts, and it's called the overnight. So at the overnight, you learn the history about the high school. You get to know the freshman class, so you get a chance to meet all of the freshmen and some upper level students. So you get to meet the juniors, the seniors, as well as the sophomores. And there, I did get a chance to build some bonds with some people that I'm actually still very close with today. But after I did finish the overnight, I was introduced to Emmett. And Emmett has been...
He called me Mr. Daly back then.
I still sometimes call him Mr. Daly, but Emmett has definitely been a pivotal, I would just say, a pivotal person in my life and just helping me grow. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. At first, I was very shy, very off-putting. I actually think from my end, I think I might have been a little mean, just because having a mentor was something that I wasn't familiar with, or anyone that grew up in my neighborhood had a mentor. So I was very shy. And
How much time did you spend together? Was it like an hour? How much time?
So actually, Emmett made a great impact on making sure that he spent time with me. He actually took me to about maybe 5 or 6 New Jersey Nets basketball games when they were in New Jersey. He came by the high school and came to see my wrestling matches a couple of times. And then throughout the year, Student Partner Alliance has breakfast at the respective schools, or lunches, depending on the school availability. And Emmett made every single breakfast and or lunch. And that was really, really important to me, and it really made me understand that he really cares. And then also something that was really important, my grandmother had passed away my junior year, and she was the backbone of my family, because my mom worked so much just trying to put me through St. Benedict's Prep, that my grandmother was there for me, picked me up from school sometimes, always had dinner on the table for me. So when she passed, that really, really hurt me, and it took me a while to get back. But Emmett was at my house when he found out my grandmother passed away. He came to her funeral. He really helped me get through that rough hurdle of my life.
Yeah, wow. So when you graduated from high school.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you went where?
So when I graduated, I went to Hofstra University my freshman year, and found out that tuition was a little bit too expensive there. So I decided to come back to New Jersey, and I went to Montclair State University, and I graduated from there in 2012.
Okay. And you kept in touch with Emmett during that period?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But the intense mentoring was high school, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
He mentored me definitely intensely through high school, and then as I got towards my junior and senior year, we started to talk a little bit more, and then I finally asked him the big question of, when can I become a mentor? I definitely want to give back to my community, or give back to someone else who doesn't have the opportunity to have a mentor.
And so when did you start mentoring?
I started mentoring my second semester, my junior year.
Yeah,
my junior year.
And that's how Chris has been so instrumental at Student Partner. We've often recruited these mentors and these partners out of these suburban communities that we live in. But Chris started recruiting mentors from his fraternity and from his friends at St. Benedict's. And those guys relate much better to these students than guys from
Yeah,
Summit, New Jersey.
yeah,
So it's
interesting.
been incredibly effective to have young blood come into the organization
Yeah,
and help mentor these kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what's it like being a mentor, having been a mentee?
So being a mentor is probably one of the greatest feelings. Just it's very satisfying for me just to be able to understand, what a young man is going through. Being from Newark myself, having to get up and walk to the bus stop, get on a bus, that's probably maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, just to get to school. Waking up really early just to get to school because your commute is gonna take a while to get there, and then being pushed to your limit is something that I wasn't familiar with, and St. Benedict's definitely helped me with that. So not saying that I have the formula to graduating through St. Benedict's prep with 4.0 or something like that, but I definitely have an idea of what it takes, and it doesn't take you being, the smartest person in the world. It just takes hard work and persistence. And if you have those two things, being able to graduate from a preparatory high school, but also just being able to, I guess, graduate life.
Yeah, yeah.
Having those two formulas will definitely get you to the keys to success.
You think you would have made it through high school without a mentor?
I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
Fair answer.
He's persistent guy. He's a persistent guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
These are great
Yeah.
stories. I mean, we could talk about this all evening. It's just fascinating. We're down to the last just couple of minutes, and I want to go back to you, Maggie, because I want to give you the chance to sort of make a pitch to the folks on whatever you'd like to say.
Well, we're always looking for individuals who can become partners and have the pleasure of mentoring a student, or a sponsor who could help us with the financial piece, or a mentor. All are crucial to the success of a student. And if you're interested, please give me a call at 908-522-0405, or here's our website. The information you can see below. Look us up, learn a little bit about us, give us a call. You can even find the mentor, partner, sponsor application right online if you're quick. And we'd love to hear from you. We're always looking for more supporters. And the more supporters we have, the more students we can support. So thank you for thinking about us.
And I would guess that if you do what Maggie suggested, you'll probably find out that there's somebody right here in Summit that that's already a mentor and is already involved with this wonderful organization. So thank you for watching, and tune in next time.